Hey, it's Rav. Welcome to the Everyday Investor, the hottest investment show in the world. That's right, I said it. I don't care who knows it. The challenge often is that we take our precious time, we go to work, we get paid in order to eat. But imagine a life where money could make you money so that you could work a little less, have more time for those things that matter most. Family, friends, engaging in some sort of purpose greater than yourself. That's what this show is all about, teaching you how to grow your money. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
But there's sort of a point in time where we need to take responsibility for the fact that even though all those things happen to us, that the only person who's creating this life is me. And so what can I do in spite of all of that to move forward and create a beautiful life for myself?
The mortgage world has changed. Has your advice? Are you looking for a modern approach to your mortgage planning process? Advice tailored to your unique, ever-changing circumstances? Whether you're upsizing, downsizing, purchasing, or refinancing, the Kyle Ford Mortgage team works with individuals and companies to custom tailor the right mortgage product for you. Working with a wide selection of lenders, we're here to serve our clients and help them achieve their real estate and retirement goals. Contact the Kyle Ford Mortgage team today, Canada's mortgage choice.
Hey, it's Rav. Welcome back to Everyday Investor. We're talking to our good friend Melanie, and we're talking about having the right mindset, building the right mindset to build your success. Melanie, thank you for being with us all the way from the West Coast. Really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to help people build their mindset so they can achieve whatever it is they want in their life.
Yeah, and we were talking before here at the show, and we talked about success, and success is different for everybody in terms of what it means. What does Melanie think it means? I mean, you're an investor, you're a coach, you have lots of clients, and you help them with mindset, and you help them achieve success, but define that for you. What is success?
Success to me is creating a life that when I get to the end of it and I look back, I feel happy about the choices that I made. So success for me is all encompassing, enjoying the journey, feeling happy, inner peace. Yes, creating wealth and partnerships and collaborations and all that fun stuff. But for me, a critical piece of success is actually learning how to enjoy the journey. Because if you don't enjoy the journey, like, for what purpose are we doing this?
That's right. No. I really, really appreciate that. And, for the show's 20 years now. I love teaching on spiritual intimacy, relational wealth, and then, yes, financial peace and how to achieve it. But I got to be really honest with you, and I can't believe I'm saying this to my beloved viewers. The last part kind of dissipates over time, right? Like, sure, I can teach you financial peace, and I use that word on purpose as opposed to freedom. But I'm really more passionate about helping people grow in relationship and so on and so forth. We've never talked about this, but tell me about the helping people with their mindset as opposed to just cranking your investments, because obviously we only have a certain hours in a day, in a week, in a month, in a year. And so when you're helping people with mindset, you're taking away from your investment business. I think you're building something in Victoria. What are you building in Victoria right now?
Yeah, we're building a 6-unit.
A 6-unit in Victoria, one of the nicest places. I lived there for a few summers when I was in the Navy Reserves way back in the day. But so why mindset? Why not just keep cranking the investment world?
Truly, so we had a family business and I worked supporting people, not investors, but any person in creating sort of the life that they wanted, helping them overcome obstacles. I left that to become a full-time investor, and, like, full transparency, I hated it. When I left the world of making a difference in people's lives and I was just head down creating success, yes, I was building wealth, but I was so unfulfilled. And I hit this wall of, like, if I were to die tomorrow, I'm literally not doing what I'm meant to do on this planet. So when I don't know how the light bulb came on. Well, it's a very long story that we don't have time for, but the light bulb came on and I realized that I could create win-wins and actually make a difference in people's lives in this world of real estate investing. And the minute I recognized that, it was like there was no stopping me. So, I mean, life is more than, again, don't get me wrong, I want to create wealth. There's no doubt about that. But life to me is so much more than that. It is about the people that we love, the relationships that we create, the impact that we have, the difference that we make. I have this vision of like shining my light. I feel like there's this ripple effect of my job here is to shine my light and make the world a little bit brighter. Yes, I do that in the world of real estate investing, but that also means I've got to kind of be, I'm human, but like clean inside and doing the work in order to be able to shine my light and make a difference in the world.
And being open and vulnerable when you get stuck. I mean, that people need to see that as well. They need to know that Rav, has a harder time when he wakes up in the middle of the night to go pee. When I come back, it's harder to sleep because as an investor, I want the least amount, I want the most amount of mortgages possible. I want all my things variable. And so today, hey, that's painful. and I want people to know that Rav feels the pain. So I really appreciate you saying that. And that's why I teach financial peace, because that's irrelevant of how much money you have. It's can you sleep at night, and are you content, and do you have loved ones around? And so that's great. I'm really happy that you, and probably a lot of your colleagues, if you will, question that, because obviously there's a lot more money in the investment world. I mean, not to say that you don't have a great coaching practice, but and helping people, but a lot of people are not going to understand when you make such a transition to live life in a way that you feel benevolent, you feel passionate, as opposed to just going after the dollar. When you did that, did you get a lot of pushback?
I honestly didn't. I think that I was so aligned. If there was pushback, I didn't notice it. I mean, one of the things with, that I like to help people with and that I live myself. And I love how, I just have to say, I love how you mentioned, like, you want people to know that Rav also wakes up in the night and has a hard time going back to sleep. I am an as open book as I can about anything. And not to get attention on poor me, but to be able to say, you're not alone. Whatever struggle you're facing, you are not alone. We're all people. I'm a mindset coach, and I got to mindset my way out of things, because it's not like I live in this Zen, peaceful state. It's that I have tools and a commitment to it to get there, but I do not live there at every moment. I'm human just like the rest of us. So full transparency is so important to me, because I feel like if all we do is share the wins, then people, when they're struggling, they feel like there's something wrong with them because everybody else has it all together. Why don't I? So thank you for sharing that. I just had to say that because I'm in so much agreement with you. And the more aligned we are within ourselves, the more we're living on purpose, the more we are like, self-aware of our values, our identity, our purpose, all those things, which are all the things that I love sharing, the more crystal clear we are, the less we are impacted by other people's response. It's like, that's their journey, and it's not for them to understand what I'm doing, and it's not for me to understand what they're doing. I have to live my life in a way that's aligned with me, and you have to live your life in a way that's aligned with you. And those could be two completely different things. And that's okay. Like, there's no right or wrong. We just each have to do what's right for us.
Absolutely. No, again, in the spiritual realm, I think we're spoken to individually, and what's spoken to me is going to be different than what's spoken to you in terms of the direction, in terms of where we're supposed to go in life. And when you figure that out, and it's hard, I mean, I'm grateful you're on the show, because it's hard to even figure that out. There's so much penetrating our brains, with the news and social media and advice, and it's just very hard to figure out what you're supposed to be doing. And even when you figure it out, that may change. It might be that's right for me for this season in life, but that might change as my life changes. And so we need to put a lot more. We need to invest a lot more time in the real estate between the ears, because that's where everything flow from. So we're going to talk about, after the break here, 5 ways to achieve ultimate mindset. What are some, before we do that, what are 1 or 2 kind of blockers? What do you see? I just mentioned social media or whatever the case is. What do you see is the top 2 things that kind of hold people back, that don't really sit and park in terms of what we're talking about right now?
I would say, honestly, pain from the past. It's like people's whole lives that get in the way, whether it's self-worth, lack of confidence, limiting beliefs, all those kinds of things. We're a compilation of our entire life's experiences. And if we don't kind of, I mean, not to minimize it, but there's sort of a point in time where we need to take responsibility for the fact that even though all those things happen to us, that the only person who's creating this life is me. And so what can I do in spite of all of that to move forward and create a beautiful life for myself? So I feel like people's past is, I mean, every single thing we've ever experienced, everything everybody's ever said to us, it's there somewhere. So I feel like that's a huge limitation. And then another huge limitation is fear. Like you mentioned, I mean, we have a choice on what we inundate ourselves with. And if we're living on purpose and we're deciding, I want to feel good and I want to, be happy and I want to shine light in the world, well, then I'm going to be way more selective about what I listen to and where I spend my time to allow me. And that's part of what we'll share, after the break. But it's my responsibility, and therefore I have to choose what I'm going to listen to and what I'm not in order to create the life that I want to live in my own inner world, like you say, the inner real estate.
Yeah.
So
fantastic. We're talking to our good friend Melanie. She's going to help us with a few pointers in terms of ultimate mindset. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hey, it's Rav. A few years back, I learned about trading stock options by taking the Theta Trading course. My son, my friends, myself, all of us benefited immensely by applying their strategies, and I want you to have that same benefit by taking their course as well. I'm not receiving any monetary benefit whatsoever by telling you this. It's just that, as you know, I believe that knowledge mitigates risk. Visit their site to find out more. Hey, it's Rav. Welcome back to the Everyday Investor. We're talking to our friend from Melanie, all the way from the west coast of Canada. Melanie, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for being real. It's so great that I can talk to an investor who is growing her portfolio, but it's not her greatest passion. Helping people is the greatest passion, and frankly, at the risk of sounding dogmatic, there's nothing more important than helping people. That's where we are at peace. That's where we are content. That is where, and whether you have money to do that or not is irrelevant. Money helps. So thanks for being on the show. What are your kind of 5 tips, pointers in terms of ultimate mindset?
Okay, so I would say, and I mean, there's so much that I love to share. It was challenging for me to narrow it down to 5, but I did my very best. The first one is understanding how the brain works. So I think people, when we understand how the brain works, meaning that what we think about literally creates how we feel. What we're thinking about causes our brain to release chemicals to our body that create how we feel. And when we understand that we are creating how we feel by what we're choosing to think about, then our life changes. So I would say that's like sort of at the core of everything that I care about. If you want to pay attention to mindset, which is what's going on between your 2 ears, you've got to understand that what you think about is actually creating how you feel, therefore how you show up in the world.
Yeah.
Because how you feel comes through in your behavior, in your choices, in your interactions, and therefore in your results.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I always told my kids that what you put in your brain goes into your heart. What goes into your heart is how your feet are dictated, So whatever's going into your brain, that's going to go into your feelings, and that's going to create your behavior. And man, it's hard, Melanie. I mean, you look incredibly young, but if you're even remotely close to my age,
I'm 49.
Well, there you go.
49.
So I'm 52. Yeah. So we had to go find trouble. We had to go out there and look for garbage to put in our brains. These days, it's just pouring in, and I feel so sorry for our kids. I feel sorry for my to-be grandkids one day. that you're absolutely right. We have to be careful because that's how it works. What you put in eventually becomes your behavior. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Number 2.
One thing I want to add, so I'm just going to add to all of this. I didn't mention I'm a master practitioner of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. So I actually have the training behind how the brain works, the strategies that people run. So there's more to what I'm sharing just for any of your viewers who might be, I don't know, thinking that this is some airy fairy woo woo. Oh, just think positive. No, this is science based. I have a foundation to this. So I just wanted to share that.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's an important piece to share.
Please. And your information's on the screen. So hopefully you don't mind people reaching out to you to even learn more. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to support anybody in any way that I can. That's what I'm here to do.
Thank you.
So one is understanding the brain, as I mentioned. Then the next piece, which is, really important, is committing to actually paying attention. You've got to pay attention to the correlation between your thoughts and how you're feeling. It's one thing to know that, and then we fly about life and we're busy and we're doing all the things. But to actually begin to pay attention, this is a skill that you're mastering. Mindset is a skill. Again, it's not some airy fairy thing. And so you have to be willing to, during the day, as you're going about your day, be tuning in, paying attention, recognizing, wow, I just thought about, every single mortgage that I have that's on variable and how it's going to sink me. And then I got this panicked feeling inside, like maybe that doesn't serve me, right? So there's that paying attention piece, not just the knowledge, but you got to pay attention to it.
Yeah, no, I love that. I mean, these days, self-included, sometimes you just, why do I feel anxious? Why do I have this anxiety? Why do I almost feel like a panic attack? Okay, let me rewind. What am I doing? What am I not doing? And it starts, and I know you'll teach the same thing. I mean, when you get into routines, if I miss them, if I don't get out of bed, go outside, go for my walk, look into the sun, like just whatever routines that I would learn from people from you, when I'm not doing that, it affects me. But it takes a long time sometimes to remember the correlation of why it's affected, because sometimes we minimize these important things. But that's really why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling.
And we don't think of it as a skill. Like very few people think about mastering your mindset, mastering your thoughts, paying attention to that as a skill that you actually learn and practice more and, mess up and do better and learn and grow. It's a skill. I think of your brain as like, have you ever seen the pictures of the brain with, holding it's doing bicep curls? Like that's what we're doing. We're training our brain to think differently, to think in a way that supports us in living the life we want to live. Because ain't nobody else going to create, going to create our life for us. We have to do it ourselves.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so understand how it works and commit to it. 3.
Yeah. Then the next one I would say is to be purposeful in your life. Now, I don't mean fulfill your purpose, which is important too. But what I mean by be purposeful is, I mentioned before, we need to have clarity on who we want to be and how we want to show up in this world in order for us to be able to then make the decision to, so let's use me as an example. I want to be a kind and loving person. That's who I want to be in this world. And we know I want to make a difference. Well, when I'm feeling cranky, agitated, stressed, overwhelmed, scared, worried, anxious, it doesn't matter. When I'm feeling any of those things and somebody comes up to me, one of the people that I love comes up to me, am I going to be kind and loving automatically when I'm living in the space of all that other stuff? No, I'm not. So and it's not because I'm a bad person. It's because if that's all the stuff that's going on in my mind and I don't have a guidepost, I don't have clarity on, I actually want to be a kind and loving person. Therefore, I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to go meditate. I'm going to listen to a song. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to do something to shift how I'm feeling so that I can behave in a different way. But we actually have to take the time to figure out, who do we want to be in this world? How do I want to show up for people? Because it becomes very easy to say, if I say I want to be a kind and loving person, is what I'm about to do or say kind and loving? And I also just want to remind everybody, this does correlate to your success. So we're talking about who we are, but how we show up in the world absolutely dictates the success that we create, because everything is relationship based.
Yeah, 100%. No, listen, I tell I barely finished grade 12. I finished grade 12 because my mom was crying when I said I didn't want to. And, if there's any success in my life, it is all because of relationship, trying to grow my relational intelligence, my relational wealth. And back to your other point, this point is also tell people. So for me, I think there's a big difference between loving people and making people feel loved. And so I say to my wife, my kids, my friends, my purpose is to make people feel loved. Well, guess what? Now they call me on it when they're not feeling loved. And I say thank you, because that's who I want to be. Because we can all say these beautiful things, but it's really the walk that matters. So I appreciate that. Be purposeful, not fulfill our purpose, but be purposeful in who you want to be. Love it. 4.
Okay, so fourth one is setting outcomes. So we're very familiar with setting goals. Goals is a target. I want to, get my next property. I want to buy a multifamily. I want to whatever it is that people might want to be doing. Setting an outcome setting a goal is just words, really. Setting an outcome is imagining that you have successfully accomplished the goal. What are you going to be doing at that moment when you realize you've achieved it? Who's going to be around you? How are you going to be celebrating? Because when we connect with that, we feel inspired, we feel excited, we feel motivated. We can use it as there's a lot of things that we have to do that maybe aren't that fun in this world of real estate investing. Maybe we have times like right now where people are really, finding it challenging because of the interest rates and all of these things that have shifted for us. We can use it as a tool to imagine out there in the future when things are different. What it does is it gets our brain to release chemicals to our body right here, right now, and we get to experience it as though it's already happened and gone well, even though it hasn't even happened. So it's a way to shift our state, and it's also a way to have us be motivated to do those things that we maybe don't really want to do. So big difference between goal and outcome. And I think in order to feel great and excited and motivated and happy, setting outcomes is extremely important.
No, I love that. Love that. Kind of working backwards, right? So here's what I want it to look like. Now I can work backwards to see, okay, here's the goal, but really focusing on what that's going to spit out.
How amazing it's going to feel when you've achieved it. Are you signing papers at a lawyer? Are you popping a bottle of champagne? Are you cheersing somebody? Are you standing in front of the building getting keys? Just what is that moment in time?
Yeah.
Because that feels good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's inspiring. That'll keep you going, so on and so forth. Because sometimes you just set a goal, you forget what the goal is for. Even why did I set it?
That's right.
Some so-called guru told me I'm supposed to. Love it. Outcomes.
That's right. It's just words.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And
then the last one for me to share is this. If you're going to make it up good. So here's the deal. Nothing is happening except what's right in front of me right this moment. So when I'm thinking about things in the future and I'm imagining them not going to go well, imagining not able to pay my mortgages, imagining, all sorts of bad things. I'm writing an offer on a property thinking I'm not going to get it. I'm raising capital thinking I'm not going to, fulfill. You're making it up because it hasn't happened yet. And you're torturing yourself because when you imagine it not going well, guess what? Your brain releases those chemicals to your body and you feel like you failed, even though you haven't even done it yet.
Love it.
So if you're going to make it up good.
I love that. That's fantastic. I mean, yeah, because the opposite is worry, right? And it hasn't happened, as you said. So why not envision a great outcome? I love that. I love that.
We don't know how it's going to go. Maybe it's going to be a total bomb. And but at least we didn't torture ourselves for the 2 weeks or a month leading up to that moment. If it doesn't go well when it happens, well, then you deal with that. And you've got tools and resources to deal with it. But to ruin every day from now until then, imagining it going horribly, it literally is torturing yourself.
Yeah, and I've also heard, I don't necessarily believe in that kind of stuff, but, if you think it's going to be bad, it's going to be bad, right? Why do that? I'm not negating that could be real, but I've heard that often, that sometimes, because it also affects our actions, and there could be something to do on my part that made it happen good or made it happen bad, depending on, some of your earlier points there.
You're exactly right. So it's, again, not from a woo-woo perspective that some people might think, but literally, if I'm imagining it's not going to go well, let's say I'm going into an investor meeting and I'm raising capital and I'm saying to myself, nobody's going to want to lend to me. Nobody's going to want to invest with me. The market's crap. Everybody's afraid and nobody's going to want to. How am I going to show up in that meeting?
100%. As opposed to...
I am not going to exude... Yeah, as opposed to like, this is an amazing project. I can't wait to see it through. It's going to be beautiful. People are going to live there. People are looking to get their money working for them. I have an opportunity for them to do that. How am I going to show up into the meeting at that point? And the energy that I exude is what the people are going to pick up on. Yes, everybody, well, not everybody, but we're going to assume the people sitting in that meeting understand investing, and they're going to have their own criteria for the numbers and all of that. But they're also going to be picking up on the energy that you exude. And that is the piece that you have to create from inside. Listen,
Melanie, love having you on the show. Time flies when we're having fun, when we're being nurtured. Again, your information's there. Please reach out to Melanie if you want to learn more. But it's the most important thing. It's where everything should start from, right? Is our thinking and mindset. So thank you so much for being on the show, and we'll have to have you back.
Thank you. I would love that.
Yes. And now it's time for our teaching tip of the week.
Hi, it's Darren Mitchell, and this is the Everyday Investor Teaching Tip of the Week. We're going to talk about infinite banking for kids, specifically using the product High Cash Value Life Insurance. It is amazing for children. The biggest reason why, they have time. If you can have uninterrupted compounding tax-free for 100 years, the numbers are just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing at 50, 60, 70, they're mind-blowing. But how do you set this up? And most kids don't have a lot of money. Well, there's 3 players in this. There's an owner, there's a payer, and there's a beneficiary. As a parent or a grandparent, you can be the owner, payer, and beneficiary. Your child will be the insured. What rights does that give the child to the policy? Absolutely nothing. You own the policy, you're the payer, you're the beneficiary. You can cancel it and take the money. You can take loans against it. It's your policy. Your child just happens to be the life insured. However, we have amazing tax laws in Canada when it comes to this. Let's say you start a policy, and you can start a policy when the child's 14 days old. So on the 15th day of their existence, you can start a cash value life insurance policy. So you start a policy on a child, they're 1, they're 2, they're 5, they're 10, doesn't matter. Parent funds it, parent funds it, parent funds it. All of a sudden it's time for university. What happens? You can borrow against your policy and pay it back. You're still on that compound interest curve. Your policy didn't decrease a nickel when you borrowed that money. So now you've given your kids a 20-year head start on this compound interest curve. Next thing you know, they want to buy a house, or even better, an income property. We're going to borrow and pay it back. Maybe by the time they're 40, they want to start a business. Borrow, pay it back. Always going to have access to tax-free funds and never going to interrupt the compounding. Now, fast forward all the way to your kids' retirement. Now they have this massive tax-free cash value. They can take tax-free loans on that in retirement and have just an amazing retirement. Now, the kicker is, this is not just helping your kids, but it's helping your future grandkids, because there's 2 components to a cash value life insurance policy. There's the cash value that your child's going to be able to access for schools, cars, businesses, income properties, retirement, but there's also a death benefit. And the death benefit's going to be paid out, hopefully in 100+ years when your child dies. And who's going to be the beneficiary of that? Well, it's going to be your future grandkids. So a lot of wealthy people use this, a lot of business owners, real estate investors use this to multi-generational planning, tax-free growth, access to money when they need it. Doesn't matter if they go to university, whatever opportunity or whatever expense you want to use this for, you can use that for. Find out more about infinite banking concept for children.
Thank you guys for watching as well. Without you, we wouldn't have a show. Go to everydayinvestor.com to watch the show again, or any others. It's kind of like video on demand. And we'll see you otherwise next week, same place, same time. Honey, love you. Be home soon. Bye, everyone.